Hey, sports parents. If we haven't met, my name is Jonathan Corona. I'm the host of the show. Today, we're joined by the young ref, Jeremi Barnes. If you're on TikTok or Instagram, you've probably come across his content before. He is a football, flag football, and basketball referee who is mic'd up during games, and he shares his interactions with the players from the youth level all the way up through varsity football. If you're not following him, he's a great follow to see an on-field look at youth sports from a perspective that I guarantee you have never seen before. In our conversation, we talk about his sports background, how he went from having never run track before his senior year of high school to being an All-American in college. Then we talk about what he sees on the field with youth athletes, how parents can support their kids, and even touch on the importance of siblings throughout the youth sports journey. Before we get to that conversation, if you like the show today, we're going to ask that you go ahead and rate us, review us wherever you're listening. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, writing up a small review would be a huge help. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Most of all, if this episode helps you in any way, the best thing you can do is share it with a friend. With all that out of the way, here's my conversation with Jeremi Barnes. Jeremi, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So the first question we always ask is the parent question, but you're not a parent yet. So I want to flip it a little bit and can you tell us what sports you played growing up and then what your sports background is?
Man, I did a little bit of everything, honestly. Some people might be surprised to know that I did cross country my freshman year of high school. I did cross country. I did baseball, basketball. I stopped playing football in 7th grade. Kids started to get a little too big. You know how that goes. So
That's when I started because I was too big to play Pee Wee.
Yeah,
So
yes.
I didn't play till 7th grade.
Yeah, so I was like, you know what, Pops? I'm done with football. I didn't play in 8th grade. Then I did basketball in high school, and then started track my senior year of high school, and then got a scholarship for track, and then went on to college to compete in triple and long jump. So
that's an answer because you're the second person we've talked to. We talked to Eidos Ibadine back in the winter, and he was an Olympic sprinter or Olympic runner, not a sprinter, and he didn't start running until his sophomore year of high school. So it seems like track is one of those things that you don't have to start in the womb to be successful in track.
No, not at all. So I literally started, and shout out to my athletic director, Vince Fitzgerald. He saw that I wasn't getting any accolades in basketball. You know, I thought I was all right, thought I was decent, but, you know, maybe the other people didn't. But, you know, I wasn't getting any, like, big scholarships or anything like that. And he was like, yo, you know, you need to, like, leave an imprint on your foot, leave an imprint on your legacy at the school somehow, some way. And he saw that I was a good jumper. And then he was like, go try to beat this record in triple jump. I bet you can't do it. And I'm like, what is triple jump? And then I'm like, what do you mean I can't do it? Like, do you know who I am? You feel me? So I was like, all right. So I went out there. I had 2 months to beat the record, and I beat it a couple of times, and then I got second at state. So, and then I got a scholarship and went on to jump in college, and then got All-American and got all these conference championships and stuff like that. So it turned out to be the best thing I ever did in high school.
And people don't think sports are genetic. Like you come out and you set a record in a month. Like,
yeah.
I mean, that's the piece that people don't think about is like, there's so much of this that we're doing that parents are putting so much pressure on kids. And for the most part, if the genetics aren't there, you're going to hit the limit.
Yeah.
And if the genetics are there, the rest of it's going to help.
I will say for the most part, yeah, but I also will say everything that I did leading up to that 2 months prepared me to you know, be able to beat the record. Like if I had just out of nowhere just picked it up and then just started doing that, there's no way I would have been able to do it. But ever since my sophomore year of high school and junior year, I think it was my junior year, I got a personal trainer finally, which I do recommend, highly recommend that. I started too late on getting a outside trainer. I thought that if you just go to practice, you'd be good, but no, you need to work outside of practice. So once I got a personal trainer, his name is Alfonso Hodge. He used to play for the Chiefs, and he's still here in the area. Once I got that, my jumping ability started going like this, started skyrocketing.
It's the training. Like people don't realize it's not just skill training. You've got to train your body in the way for the sport that you're playing. And if you don't do it, you're like, the ceiling is only so high. You can increase the ceiling if you put the work in athletically and strength wise. But if you're just working on the skills, you're going to hit the ceiling every time.
Yeah, I put myself through I put myself through hell, to say the least. I think the first time I actually worked out with Zoe, I passed out. I woke up to a paramedic above me. So I had many practices where I think like, is this really what I want to be doing? Why am I doing this? But then at the end of the day, it turned out to be a big blessing. I'm glad I did it because it taught me a lot.
Yeah, and that's the whole point. That's what I try to get across here is that like so much of what we're doing is not necessarily the results on the field. It's the stuff that we pick up in the process that I would guess you wouldn't be who you are today if you didn't go through those things when you were a little bit younger.
Oh no, not at all. And I still wouldn't be the person that I'm going to be if I wasn't going through the stuff that I'm going through currently.
Yeah,
So it's like it's a never ending cycle of just learning and learning.
yeah. All right, so I'm fascinated by what you do, so I want to talk about that a little bit before we get into some of these other things. So you didn't play football a ton, but you're known for being the TikTok football ref.
Yep.
So how did you even get into being a referee in the first place?
So my dad and my brother, they actually started the whole referee, uh, air or loom or whatever you want to call it. When I was younger, I think I was around 13 years old. I would follow them around, and they would referee games, and they kind of like wanted me to just be there. And I was there. I had on my referee stripes. Everybody thought it was cute. I thought it was a waste of my time. I did not want to be there. But my brother, he was the youngest referee everywhere he went, and that's actually where I get the name the Young Ref from. It was his PlayStation Network name. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever, looking up to my big brother, everything he liked, I liked. He liked North Carolina, I liked North Carolina. He liked, whoever, I like whoever. So once he got a job and started slowing down on what he was doing, he kind of like stopped playing the game as much and it stopped like the whole young ref thing. And then I kind of just took it from him. Took it from him and then ran with it. So I became the young ref. And then I put that like on all my everything that I have, I put the young rep, the young rep. I mean, it's a pretty simple and sweet name, but it speaks a lot, the young referee. And once I got up in age and I kept doing it and kept doing it, I slowly started falling in love with it. I've volleyball or um, never done volleyball, soccer, or any sports like that. I've always only done football and basketball. So I was, and as a matter of fact, in high school while I was refereeing, I would referee JV games while I was refereeing in high school. So it was funny to like go out there and like see the kids like that are my age and I'm refereeing them.
That's incredible. Which one do you enjoy more?
Football for sure. Yeah. I've slowly backed away from basketball. Um some of those parents' breaths stink. So, I can't smell their breath out on the field. So I just, pick and choose my poison.
We were talking a couple weeks ago with Jason Sachs from the Positive Coaching Alliance, and we talked about the rise of flag football, and especially girls flag football. And I know you've you've been reffing more and more girls flag. What are you seeing in that that's drawing more people to that, and especially on the girls side of it?
Honestly, I feel like since it's getting so much attention, I think people are just grabbing onto it because it's getting so much attention. I didn't know that it's been a thing in Florida for a long time, but I guess since the West Coast is picking it up, that's what they say. And you gotta go west if you want to gain some popularity. It's booming in the West now. So people once they see things like starting to get more attention, they start to grab onto it, and I'm glad that they're doing it because I think it's a beautiful thing. It's fun, and you go out there and the girls are having a good time. The parents are having a good time. Nobody's really yelling at the referees. There can be your moments, but for the most part, the girls are out there competing. And it's dope to see.
One of the things that's so infectious about watching your stuff is the good time you're talking about because you have fun on the field. Like it's not like you take it seriously for sure, but it's not like you realize it's the most important, unimportant thing going on. Like, does it really matter? Not a ton. Let's have some fun with this. Let's play the game. Let's do it the best we can. So why is it such a big deal for youth referees or officials or umpires, whatever you want to call them, to communicate and have fun on the field the way you do, or at least have the relationship with the players like you do during the game? Why is that important to you?
Right. Yeah. For me, it's important to me because like you can ask my wife. I'm always thinking like either 10 steps ahead or like thinking too much about something or thinking too deeply into something. But I'm a firm believer of everything happens
Samesies.
for a reason. So, it's important to me because, kids remember how you make them feel. People remember how you make them feel. People latch on to you because of how you make them feel. I wouldn't be with my wife if I didn't make her feel good. you know? So um the kids remember how you make them feel more than what the score was. So I've seen teams get blown out 60-0, and the losing team is having a good time just because they're talking with each other and just having a good time. But and if I can make a kid smile during a tough moment, like getting blown out 60-0, or encourage them after a mistake, that might be something that might be something that they carry with them way past the game. They could take that into their own life. And when referees treat kids with respect, they communicate clearly, and they bring some positive energy. It makes the game better for everybody. You know what I mean? So it also teaches kids how to, respond to authority in a healthy way. Sometimes the parents don't realize that the kids watch them. Sometimes the coaches don't realize that the kids watch them, and it just it teaches a lot. So for me, like I said, just treating the kids how they want to be treated.
Yeah, I remember my 12-year-old year in baseball. I had a game, and the umpire had been my coach my 10-year-old year. So this is 2 years later, and I didn't have a great game. This was like the night game. We didn't get to play under the lights very often, so it was like a big deal to play under the lights.
Oh, it's always
And
a big deal to play under the lights as a kid. I always wanted to do that.
Yeah. And so like Craig pulled me, or Coach Newsom pulled me aside after the game. He's like, "Hey, come here." He's like, "That pitch they kept throwing you, you need to do this." And like he went and got the bucket of balls from the dugout and grabbed a bat with me and sat on the field with me for like 20 minutes after the game to help me understand the mistakes I had just been making. And he wasn't my coach anymore at that point in time. He was the umpire. And I remember more of him as the umpire teaching me that than I did the 2 years before when he was my coach the entire season.
That's fire.
When umpires and referees take notice of a player, I feel like that has as much, if not more, impact than when a coach does.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's crazy that you say that because, my dad, he tells me things like 10 times and I don't listen. And then as soon as I hear it from somebody else, sorry, Dad, it clicks. So he told me whenever I get kids, like, I'm gonna understand that too. You tell somebody something so many times it doesn't click. Your coach probably could have told you exactly what the umpire was telling you, but it didn't click until you heard it from. It just sometimes it takes different people to hear from different people for it to click.
Yeah, it's that different voice thing that I told my I'm purposely not coaching my son this fall in soccer because he needs another voice. He's had me the past 3 seasons, and I could just tell like he needs to hear this from another person who's not dad. And so I just think it's like what initially caught my eye with your stuff was you actually, I don't remember when it was, but you talked to a DB about what he was doing wrong. And you tried to show him something in the middle of, hey, if you do this, I'm going to throw the flag. Don't do this. I don't want to throw the flag on you. And like
Right.
just that interaction, it's like, oh, okay. Like he's not out to get me. He wants me to have success.
No, yeah. I'm always trying to teach the kids, one, how to get away with stuff. Two, how not to get the flag thrown, or if you're on offense and you want to draw a foul, to get something thrown. But for the most part, I'm not out there to throw flags and be, flag happy. Nobody's there to watch the referees. They might, some people might be now because they noticed me out there, but for the most part, nobody is there to watch the referees. They don't want to see us throwing flags. They want to see good plays. They want to see action. They want to see long plays, bomb passes, and everything. So, if I could teach them something along the way, or if I could, give my little 2 cents, and like we just talked about, I could say something that their coach is trying to teach them. They're not listening to their coach for whatever reason, but then they hear me say it, then it clicks.
Yeah.
Never know.
It just made me think, we had a soccer game this past season. I was coaching U10. And so 8, 9, 10-year-olds. And we had a 17-year-old female referee one game. And one of my girls, she was one of the older girls on the team, she got a foul called on her for extending her arm too much and pushing. And Michaela walks up to her because the girls complained to me. She goes, "I didn't do it." And Michaela looks at her. She goes, just don't make it obvious. And she goes, I probably shouldn't tell you that. Just don't make it obvious.
Yep.
But it was one of those, like, we both started laughing because she realizes maybe, because she still plays soccer herself, maybe I shouldn't be telling her this, but she wanted the girl to learn that, like, hey, you can bump. Just don't make me throw or in this case, blow the whistle.
Yeah.
Don't make me do it. Like, here's how you do it. But she took the time, and a 10-year-old girl is going to learn from a 17-year-old a lot more than she's going to learn from a 38-year-old dad.
You know, and that's wild to me. It makes no sense, but I mean, it kind of does, because like you can, like I don't know why, but like younger kids think that their parents haven't been through anything. I don't know why that is. But you know, the sooner we catch on to that they do know what they're talking about, the better off we are. But it's for some reason we want to listen to people our age more than the people that actually have the wisdom.
But I think that's part of what makes your role and like the young aspect of refereeing so important, because when elementary school kids see high school kids are gods.
Yeah.
But their parents are just the old guy who drives them around everywhere.
Right.
High school kids, when they see the guy with the white hair or the graying beard, they see just an old dude. But when they see a dude your age, it's like, okay, he gets it. He's like me.
Right.
And so they're having younger officials is so important, because that's who the kids are going to connect with more than just those old guys.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun too. I've noticed a different level of like respect that comes with it as well. And it shouldn't be, but you know, it is. I noticed that sometimes when I'm out there, whenever I'm out there, I don't flaunt it. You know, you might see my wife with the camera, but I don't have a big shirt that says I'm the TikTok ref on it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm out there, like I said, to just, you know, referee the game and have a good time and talk to the kids whenever I can. But whenever they notice me, it's like, it's an instant like mood change. And then, you know, they want to listen and they want to, you know, do better and they want to talk to me and stuff like that. So like you said, you know, being able to relate to somebody does make a big impact.
Yeah. I want to talk more with you about how parents can view this in just a second. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick break, share some resources with the parents, and then we'll be back with Jeremy in just a minute.
Have you ever showed up at the wrong field at the right time? Hey, my name's Zoe, and I've got 3 athletes on club and travel teams, and that's happened to me one too many times. So 2 years ago, I created a new app called Orgo, exclusively for sports parents. It imports schedules from all the different team apps, as well as your personal calendar to keep the entire family, including your kids, on the same page. Go to orgohq.com, download directly from the App Store or Google Play, and make Orgo part of your winning routine. Get the right people to the right places on time.
Hey, it's Jonathan. If you haven't signed up for the Weekend Playbook yet, why not? It is a short, no fluff email that shows up every Friday morning with actual useful tips for parents like you, so you can stay grounded before, during, and after the game. And right when you sign up, we'll send you 4 incredible resources from Positive Coaching Alliance just for subscribing. The link is down in the show notes. Just go subscribe. All right, we're back with Jeremy Barnes, the young ref. You're on the field with these kids. So youth players all the way up to high school kids, and you get to see them up close in a way that parents never get to see sitting on the sidelines. What's something from your perspective on the field that you wish every parent in the stands could see or notice as well?
That they embarrassing their kids out there. Doing all that yelling. Oh, that's my baby. That's my. Shut up. Okay, your kid don't want to hear that, bro. It's embarrassing, man. Honestly, I wish the parents could see how, and some parents see it and they just don't care, which is fine, you know, to each its own. But for the most part, the kids can't even hear them out there. I know whenever I was doing sports and my parents were yelling or anything, I couldn't hear anything. I'm locked in. You know, and that varies by the sport. For football, more say, you can't really hear anybody, you know, when you're hundreds of feet away. Basketball, you might be able to get in their ear. But man, I also wish that parents could just see how hard their kids are trying. Not just physically, but like mentally and emotionally. I see the pressure that the kids put on themselves, the moments that they look to the sideline, hoping that their parent is proud, or when they mess up and immediately check for a reaction or something like that. Some kids will whisper to themselves or talk in their head like, man, my dad's going to be mad, or he's going to talk to me out of the car, or such and such is watching. You know, I just wish parents could see how much their kids really actually already care, you know, and that they just what they need most is support. You know, they don't need to reach for perfection. You always strive for perfection. You're going to always fall short, but they don't need perfection. They just need support, because that goes a long way.
What's the difference I'm really interested in this, in a high school athlete and an elementary school athlete in your mind? Like, just watching them on the field, obviously they're bigger, they're stronger, they're more athletic, but they're still kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the difference you see between those ages?
Like you said, they're a little more structured. They make a lot less mistakes. They're faster, they're quicker, but there's really no difference, honestly. I mean, it's still the same thing. And when the kids are out there and they hear their parents yelling, they don't want to hear that. They just out there, for the most part. When there's younger kids, they probably don't even want to be out there. They just out there to have fun. But really, I mean, I don't really know a big difference in it, honestly.
The reason I wanted to ask, because I thought you would say that, is I see it on the baseball side more often. And it's like, we look at these 16, 17, 18-year-old kids playing varsity sports and we think they're so grown.
No. No. I'm 27, and whenever I hear people say that they're 18, 19, I'm like, Jesus, you just wait. Go to college. Don't look. The money's gonna come. Okay, go to college, get your degree, network, meet some people. The money's always gonna be there. But when them bills start racking in, and then when you got to do this and do that, and nobody's coming to save you, yeah, it gets real. You got to grow up fast. But when you're in high school and the most that you worried about is if this girl like you, come on now,
Right?
Give me a break.
I mean, we expect. I think we watch professionals and we see the professionalization of college sports, and we think this 17-year-old kid who just had a chemistry test earlier in the day and has a paper due next week, and his girlfriend might be fighting with him, or his best friend did something, or maybe in high school, maybe he can't afford something and his friends are, and there are all these things weighing them down, and we don't realize all this other stuff that we tell them, just flush it and don't worry about it when you're on the field. Like, these guys, they're humans.
Yeah. At the end of the day, they are. And all that, like I was going to say, another thing, you never know what they're going through at home. Never know. And it's sad, but always got to consider the next person whenever you're talking to somebody.
The thing I always go to in that situation, my freshman year of college, I stayed home, went to community college, interned with my high school baseball coach. So I got to be like a student assistant coach that year. It was the best year our high school ever had. We made the Western Finals of the state playoffs. We go into game 3 of the Western Finals with our ace. Hadn't been beaten all year. Has his worst performance of the year. And I'm like, man, I was so counting on him to get us to the state finals. I wanted it. I wanted it. I didn't know until a couple years later, he found out that morning his dad had cancer.
Mm.
No one knew.
Nobody.
He didn't tell anybody that day.
See, and then you probably got kids on the team like, oh, he sucks. He's this, that. And it's like you said, you never know what somebody's going through. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I literally did not know until a few years after that. And it's just like, it totally reframed. Like, I went from being disappointed we lost that game to amazed that he was able to compartmentalize and perform the way he actually did that day, having just found that out. And I think it's just so interesting to hear you say it, being on the field with them, that like, they're just kids, man. Like, they're putting in the work, but they're just kids.
At the end of the day, yeah. At the end of the day, they just kids. They out there talking about you should hear some of the stuff I have to mute out. They are out there talking about any and everything, and sometimes it's not football. Okay, yeah. At the end of the day, they're just kids, man. They're out there.
What's the
having
craziest thing you've heard from a kid on a field? On that's totally unrelated to the game.
I don't even know, man. Most of the stuff goes in one ear and out the other. I had a kid tell me that his mom wanted me to wave at him. I'm like, what? Like, bro, it's 4th down. Focus. Like, what are you doing? Hey, mom. No, I'll say hey, but yeah, man. I hear stuff all the time. It's stuff off the wall. But I have a good time. There's nothing like Friday nights. I refereed college for 1 year. I didn't particularly like it, So man, there's nothing like Friday night football. Nothing like it.
I interviewed Scott Jackson, who is an assistant baseball coach at North Carolina. I interviewed him last year or earlier in the year. And he was talking about how, like, even at North Carolina in baseball, like sold out stadiums on Friday nights, he said there's nothing like Friday night high school football. And so he was such an advocate for kids playing multiple sports because a baseball only kid is never going to experience Friday night football. It's the biggest crowd you'll ever play in front of unless you hit these high level schools. Like the whole, like even places where football isn't taken super seriously, it's still going to get more people than a basketball game.
Yep.
It's going to get more people than any other sport. And it's just to be a part of that. I was a marching band kid because I stopped playing football after 8th grade. And I still remember my last game. Were you a marching band kid too?
I did that.
Okay.
I did a little bit of everything, man. I was out there hitting that bass drum or whatever it's called on the side, and I should have been out there playing football.
They tried to get me to play football every year. Like my middle school coach ruined it for me, so I never went back. But I remember my last Friday. It was Halloween, my senior year. I changed out of my uniform and I went and sat on the 40-yard line for like 10, 15 minutes. I just watched in my mind, I rewatched every halftime show I performed in on that field because there's nothing like Friday.
Nothing like it. I'm getting chills right now thinking about it because I'm excited for the season.
All right. You said the parents are embarrassing their kids. So what does a great sideline behavior from a mama or a daddy actually look like? Like if you could script a parent's ideal game day, we'll call it presence, what would it be?
I mean, it's real simple. It's like, cheer loud, love louder. Great sideline behavior means like, you know, it just means being the biggest supporter and the encourager in the stands, really. Clap for effort, not just to highlight plays. Don't coach her from the sidelines. Trust the process, trust the coaches, trust the refs. One time I saw a mom standing off to the side just mouthing "I love you," and her son fumbled, and and he instantly after her son fumbled, and instead of beating himself up, he just, he relaxed knowing that, my mom's got like everything's okay. Like it's not the end of the world, next play
It
mentality.
puts it in perspective.
Yeah. Next play mentality. That's game day presence. That's showing up with love no matter what the scoreboard says. That's what a good sideline behavior looks like. It's, cheering loud and loving louder.
I love that. I love that so much. Like I have been in games where especially because I'm at the youth soccer field so much, and then I'm at the high school baseball field just in my life, and I see 9-year-old girls and 18-year-old boys, and they both make a mistake, and they look to find mama and daddy, and they are looking for that. And if mom or dad has their head in their hand or they're doing all the looks, like how do you move on to the next play if you look over and you see mom and dad disappointed in you?
Yeah, shaking your hand like this. All they want is support. That's really it. I mean, a couple of teammates, a couple of coaches, okay, that might bother them a little bit, but really that foundation, that core is going to come from the parents, the brothers, the older brothers, the sisters, the grandparents, the aunts, uncles, anybody like that in the stands. That's what's going to lift them up more than anything else.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about asking you this, but you mentioned it earlier and you just mentioned it again. Going back to your career, playing, you said you wanted to be your big brother. So for the older siblings who might listen to this, or for the parents who have multiple kids and they're teaching their young siblings, and like older sibling had his time or her time, and now younger siblings coming up, what's a good older sibling like on this journey?
Honestly, it has everything to do with outside of the field, really. So my brother, he was there for me. He took me to practices. He would, make me watch film. He would make sure that he's the reason why I started going to a trainer, because I told him like, hey, I want to start taking my jumping ability serious. And then he was like, all right, well, let's go to a trainer. He took me to the trainer. He made sure that I was staying on top of my game. So the parents aren't going to always be there. They got work. They got a bunch of different things that they got to do too. So I love saying, well, I love this saying, and I say it all the time, is that it takes a village. So and that's with everything, a relationship, a marriage, kids, sports, whatever the case may be. It takes a village. So if the mom and dad aren't there one day, brother or sister step in. Mom and dad can't reach you. All right, brother, your turn to go in and try to reach them. And it's just a never revolving door of just, raising a village, honestly.
I was the older brother, so that's why I wanted to ask.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
Some of my favorite memories were, so I was a senior when my brother was in 7th grade. And so I remember driving him to his soccer tournaments, and like we'd go hour and a half away. We had so many stories of, like, there was one time I had a Jeep Wrangler and we had the top down coming back from a game, and we just hit like pop-up storm, and he's wiping the inside of my windshield down like a NASCAR crew guy as we're driving down the highway. And like, that had nothing to do with soccer.
Yeah.
But that was a core memory that happened because I was there to drive my little brother to a game.
Yeah.
And I think it's those type of things that can, like, not only help a kid in sports, but can solidify a relationship that's hopefully going to last a lifetime.
Yeah. It's that, like you said, it's that stuff that's outside of sports. I know for my brother, if I can talk to him about things that I don't want to talk to my parents about. So like just being that person to be able to just get some stuff off my chest or vent about something. Because you can't vent with everybody, because people will take that and use it against you. So having that that person that you trust and confide in to be able to vent to and be there for you, and like you said, have memories that are memories that you can't get on the field and you have those off the field. That's I feel like that's what being an older sibling is like. And sometimes as an older sibling, you do have to be harder on your younger sibling just to make sure that they stand on top of their game. But for the most part,
they respect it when it comes from you.
Yeah.
Different than when it comes from mom and dad.
Yeah. So, you got to be on them about that, but, for the most part, just, not playing the parent role, but playing the parent role just to a different degree.
Yeah. All right. We're running out of time here, but I got 2 more questions for you.
Okay. No,
2 questions we ask at the end of every episode. What have I not asked you that you think parents need to hear the answer to?
I think maybe that it's bigger than sports. And also, I don't know if you've noticed my shirt, but be the difference, be the change that you want to be. But really, I think your kid's sports journey isn't about creating an athlete. Is that nice? Yes. But it's really about building character, raising a man, raising a woman. I think it's really about building character, because sports only last for so long. So what are you going to do outside of sports? Who are you outside of sports? Who are you on the court, off the court? What are you going to do after sports is done? And the truth is, how you act is how parents act is teaching just as much as any coach. So if you're calm, respectful, and encouraging, your kid learns to be that way too. But if you're yelling at referees and riding the emotions from the game, they pick that up just as fast. So you're modeling behavior every second you're in the stands.
That's so great. Yeah. I mean, I have a phrase that I learned from my first boss out of grad school. He said, what leaders do in moderation, their followers do in excess. And I don't know if you've seen this on the field, but when a mama or daddy is yelling from the stands, there's a good chance that player is also the most whiny baby on the field as well. They're either going to be the one that's embarrassed and apologizing, or they're going to reflect their parents' attitudes towards you as well. It's one or the other.
Yeah. I don't have anything that like pops out in my mind about that, but it does sound like it correlates. It's either one. It's either one or the other. Either the
you may not see it, but I see it all the time.
Or they embarrassed.
Yep. All right. Last question for you. So many parents are doing this. They're leading their kids through sports, and they have never played themselves. They don't know what they're doing, but they just want to support their kid.
Right.
I would like to end every episode on an encouragement. Mm-hmm. How would you encourage those parents as they walk through this time where they don't know what they're doing, but they just want to support their kid the best they can?
It's okay. Let me look at the camera when I say this. It's okay to not know what you're doing. I absolutely hate when somebody tries to tell me something and tries to convince me that it's like the right thing, and they have no idea. Come to find out, they don't know what they're talking about. It's fine to not know. Find somebody that does, and then have them explain it to them. It's completely fine. No, is just try. You don't need to. You don't need to try to put on this mask that you know everything. It's okay. I don't like that. Not necessarily the older generation, but I don't like how the older generation tries to be secretive about things. You know, it's like everything's a secret and they want you to like find out later. Like, oh, I'll tell you later. Like, no, tell us now so that we can catch on now, so that we can continue to build off of what you've already started. If I need to start saving money while I'm 5 years old, which I should have done because everything milk like $10 now. But but like I said, it's okay not to know something, but don't act like go get the proper help and then bring that person in, because that person is probably going to have a bigger impact on what you could have said anyway, because like you said at the beginning, it varies on who you hear the information from, on the impact that it's going to have on the kids.
That's so good. Jeremy, where can people find you to follow you along?
I'm on everywhere. I'm in Kansas City. I'm in Raytown. No. On social media, I'm on YouTube. I just started posting on YouTube at the Young Ref. Most of my stuff is all at the Young Ref on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and then Snapchat and Instagram. It's Jeremi Barnes, Jeremi, not a Y, Barnes, Barnes.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
That's it for today's episode. As a reminder, if you want to see more from Jeremy, you can find him at the Young Ref on all the social platforms. If you want your weekend playbook, head to healthysportsparents.com/playbook or click down in the show notes for the link. If you like the show today, I'm going to invite you to subscribe on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, it'd be a huge help for you to write up a small review. If you're on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button as well. If this episode has helped you in any way, the best way you can help us grow the show and the platform is sharing this episode with a friend. Most of all, enjoy your time with your kids, watching them play the sport they love. I hope you have a great week, everybody. We'll see you soon.